like a blissful moment for him. He's actually admiring what he's seeing, and then he notices that his body, he just gets so lost in this moment of impact and the beauty of it. He says he's actually enjoying this experience, and he's obviously not in his body anymore. This impact has caused him to leave it again, and he is able to jump out and see everything from a different angle, and it's beautiful. And then he sort of notices his body, and he is able to start thinking, okay, is this body all right? Will I be able to go back into it this time? He's not too phased. He's very ho hum about it. He's like, okay, this body, is it damaged? Will I be able to return to it? What are the chances of it getting through this without being hurt at all? And he quickly assesses it and sees that there's no injury whatsoever, and he's able to jump back in. And as he does this, he thinks, okay, I don't really care about this body, but there's probably other people that I should be worried about in this situation. And his thoughts instantly go to his 3 kids that need to be picked up, and then to the other driver of the vehicle, and he sees the other driver's pretty worried about if he's killed Chris, and Chris, because he's already assessed his body and in spirit form and seen that there's no real problems, he is able to tell this other driver, yeah, look, I'm not hurt at all, I don't have any injuries. And he says the same thing to the police and the medics as they arrive. So, he gets through this unscathed, and they're able to uh, let him go. I don't think he even says he goes to hospital in this case. He just gets let out straight away, and is able to arrange for his children to be picked up. And the final question, but before the final one happens, he talks a little bit about love, unconditional love, and I'll just read this paragraph again. It is impossible to recognize true love until one has invested in developing their heart. For it is through development on this level that we shift from desiring others as our means of fulfillment to loving them irrespective of what they do for us. It is when we reach that higher level, loving others as they are and not because of ourselves, that we love unconditionally. Our mental images lose their hue and present us with the accurate picture that forms the foundation for true love. I like how he's written this. I always love learning about how the spirit or how we can be better people, and I think he doesn't go into detail as to how we can develop our unconditional love, but he says, it happens when we care less. We couldn't really care less about what we get back from when we love other people. And how you grow your heart, I don't know. I guess the best way to do it is to just practice what he's saying here, and to give all you can, to serve other people all you can, to love other people all you can, and don't expect anything back in return. This seems to be a common theme from near-death experiences, that this is a big reason why we're here, to learn to love unconditionally and just not expect anything back, because that is what we do as humans. It is, you scratch my back and I'll scratch yours, sort of thing, and that goes for just about everything. You do it for your colleagues, you do it for your partners, you do it for everything. You just, it's just the way this society is built. And I guess there's some exceptions to the rule where people do just give the love out. I guess when you go and do a bit of volunteer work or something like that, that's pretty much what you're doing. You're loving unconditionally because you're giving your time without an expectation for money in exchange. And this, our society is not geared that way because we obviously need to go to work, and in return we get money for that, and we don't do what we love just for the love of it. We do it for other reasons, and this is not truly the spiritual way of being. I guess we should be doing things without anything to, without expecting anything in return. And you hear this again and again in near-death experiences. And, I'm going to give this a bit more thought and work out how I can continue to grow my heart, so to speak, and to be less attached to what I get back in terms of, you know, whatever that may be, just to give the love out and see what happens. It's worth a try anyway, and see how that makes me feel, and how the people around me make me feel, how that makes them feel, and I don't know, I might just have a bit of an experiment and see how that goes. So this third out of body experience he is in incredible pain. He's constantly keeling over with intense chest like pain. He goes to the doctors and sees that he goes to multiple doctors, and they're unable to tell him what is wrong with them, and this is a bit concerning. That a doctor doesn't know what a gallstone is, but anyway, that's a bit off topic. He can't work it out, and for 3 years he's absolute agony, and eventually he has one more attack, and he keels over and runs to his mum's and collapses on the doorstep, and she's able to keep her calmness and call an ambulance and get him to hospital. But in the meantime, he has another out of body experience, which this time turns into a bit more of a near death type experience with more fantastic imagery and landscapes. And in his case, he gets to see a bit of a glimpse, he says, of what his future life is like. I don't know, if I can't remember. I don't think this experience actually goes into what actually happens later on in his life, but he says he's shown an image of what is to come, and he can choose whether he wants to live his life and potentially have this, what he's seeing in this near-death experience, he can live it out, or he can die and stay and go into the next dimension or afterlife. And in this case, he sees his life, which is, he gets this experience where he's seeing himself walking through these mountains, and then he sees this woman practicing Zen on the top of a mountain, and he just gets the intuition that this is going to be his future wife. And yeah, it's what he obviously chooses to do. He comes back and says, yeah, okay, well, if that's what's going to happen to me, I'm willing to give it a go and continue down this path and see what happens. And he comes back, he has this operation, they remove the gallbladder. I don't know how big gallstones can get, but he says one's as big as a ping pong ball, so that sounds huge and painful, and I don't really know how gallstones and all that work, but yeah, a ping pong ball sized object in any of your organs is not going to be a pleasant experience. So he gets that removed, and he says the pain does um, go away. And then he ends this little gallbladder story by saying, 3 years, 3 times a day, I died. And I think he made a promise to God or someone back early. This is a long experience, so I can't really remember exactly where he said it, but he said something about, I'll die 1,000 times, and then I'll have my honor restored. So, and this is his way of dying 1,000 times, I guess, because 3 years, 3 times a day, that's about 1,000 times. And after this happens, he's able to, he says, restore his honor, whatever that means, I guess. I think he's talking about what his life has been like so far. It doesn't really go into any detail what exactly his life has happened and what decisions have been made, apart from the story about his wife, because this experience is just an excerpt from his book. So there's obviously a bit more background there that isn't revealed in this short little excerpt. But he is obviously thinking about his past and reflecting on some decisions he's made, and he's obviously, not happy with it. And at some point, I'm sure I've read in this experience, he says, like I just said, he'll die 1,000 times and then, get some peace. And then he goes on and he brings a lot of wisdom with him now. You can tell that these three experiences have really opened his eyes not only to, the divine nature of who we are, but also little tips on his experience of what this life is actually like. And I might actually read a few lines here. The combination of our sensory experience is what we constitute as life, and we take it personally. This creates contrast, for there is how things are and how we wish them to be. We can accept what is and respect the contrast, even if we do not like it. We move past a challenge not by personalizing it, or into a challenge by personalizing and exploring it as an opportunity to realize who and how we are. So he's just saying there, I think, it's just a bit of common Buddha wisdom, I think, just accepting life for what it is. It's going to hurt sometimes, it's going to be blissful sometimes, and it's just a contrast in our sensory experiences that is giving us this emotion, or it's or hurting us, or making us feel good, and to be able to be the soul like he has been able to be, literally being able to move out of the body and not have to feel the pain or joy of being a human. He's just saying here, I think that, if we're able to connect closely with our soul, with our spirit, these ups and downs of life are less exhausting, and you can see the beauty in them, even when they are hurting, or it's just an external environment that's being manipulated in a certain way to give you certain emotions that make you feel a certain way, which, sometimes hurts and sometimes feels good. And that is what life is, and that is what we call life. And we take it personally when it moves around and shuffles around up and down, and we shouldn't do that. We should just see it for what it is. It's just life doing its thing, and try to disconnect yourself from these senses if you want to, if you don't want to be part of that drama so much anymore. He goes on, he says, the most intense contrast of life involves emotion and often proves difficult to grow through. When we have pain in our past, inflicted upon or by us, know that it is personal. We have chosen to make it personal, and so we relate to it and suffer. But take a moment to consider this pain. What is the contrast for? Does punishment serve anyone? And what is the reason we submit to suffering? So I think what he's saying here is, just next time you feel some strong emotions that create a situation in your inner self that hurts, take a closer look at that and try to analyze what that pain actually is. Like, why is it hurting? And what is causing that pain? Is it just memory of a past event, or something coming up? Is it just a thought about the future? And and just try to understand what fear is, or what anger is, a little bit more closely. Pay a bit more attention to it. I don't know if that is exactly what he's saying, but that's what I got out of it. Okay, and then he finally says, too often we forget who we are. The voice of reason in your head is you. The moral understanding being, who is your internal compass, is you. Divinity is you, and you are beautiful. Your past contains events that are not beautiful, but the being who knows this and lives in accordance with learned values and goodness, that person is beautiful indeed. In knowing this, we